For the latest film interviews, reviews, and everything making news in pop culture, subscribe to Film Companion now. Hi, I'm Anupama Chopra, and I'm here to introduce you to our tribute to the late great filmmaker Buddhadeb Dasgupta. He passed away last month. Dasgupta, who made films like Uttara, Bagh Bahadur, Charachar, and the more recent Anwar Ka Ajaz Kissa starring Nawazuddin Siddiqui, had his own unique place in Indian cinema. A special filmmaker like him deserves a special tribute. And to remember him, we reached out to his daughters Alokananda Dasgupta and Rajeshwari Dasgupta, who are also artists in their own right, to host a discussion on their father with a group of his collaborators and comrades. Artists like Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Mahesh Bhatt, Jahnu, Barua, Adoor, Gopalakrishnan, and Resul Pookutty were kind enough to come together and share their stories about the great filmmaker, the human being, and the poet.
Hi, this is Alokananda and Dasgupta.
Hi, this is Rajeshwari Dasgupta.
So today marks 1 month since our beloved Baba Buddhadeb Dasgupta, the legendary filmmaker, left us. I am a music composer. My sister is a writer and she's written all my songs. She's collaborated with Baba. I have had the honor of working with Baba as well. But today we have come together with some of Baba's finest collaborators and colleagues and friends. We've got together in this difficult time. We've had the courage to get together and talk about him, to pay tribute. And I'm very grateful that they've done this for us. Didi, would you like to say anything?
I know I'm just happy to see you all because Baba used to talk about you all
Yes.
during our growing up, and as well as when I've known Nawaz and Resul quite at my place at Bombay when they had come over. So it's great to have you guys here, and it still hasn't sunk in for us, but we mustered up whatever courage we could, and we would love to hear something from all of you. That would be a good feeling right now.
Yes, and Nandita Das has been so kind. She's been such a lovely friend also during this time, so kind to send us a video of herself talking about Baba, paying her tribute.
I grew up on many of Buddhada's films, like many of us have, whether it was Bagh Bahadur, whether it was Tahade Kotha, whether it was Uttara, and many other films. That's really been such a gift for us as viewers, as admirers of his work. The lyrical quality that his films had, the poetry of images, the magic realism, he made it all look not just so beautiful, but so believable in this alternate world that he created. How he told the story was just as important as the stories that he told. I was also fortunate to have known him personally. In fact, it's really my misfortune that I couldn't work with him. He had asked me twice, and both times there was some kind of a conflict and something didn't work out, and that's definitely going to remain a regret. The last time we met was in 2018 when we were at the Kerala Film Festival, he with his and I with mine. And he, as always, was so warm and affectionate. And it was really a joy to meet him, even though medically he had his whole dialysis pouch and, various appendages that he had to carry. But in terms of his spirit, in terms of his warmth, in terms of his lovely smile, it was all there. And in fact, he said, "I'd love to make a film on your father." He wanted to make a documentary, and I said, "That'd be fantastic, and I would love to assist you on that." On that note, we parted. So he and his films will definitely be missed.
And I will start with Adoorji. There is no question as such. You can say whatever you want, but I'm curious to know, what did you feel when you first met Baba and when you first watched his films? What did you think of him and his films?
Well, I knew him from the time he made Duratva, long distance. Actually, he covered the long distance in long strides, I think, because he has been making films all the time. I believe even after he fell ill and he was not very well, he was making films. So this was very typical of Buddhadev. And he happens to be the most prolific among the post-Ray Sen filmmakers, of the offbeat kind. So that way, his contribution has been very distinct. His life has been very full with films, and that is remarkable because there was no time when he was away from shooting or doing the post-production on films. One thing I admire about him is that he never compromised. This is a very important quality, we have to admire.
Yes.
While very many young filmmakers in the post-race and era, you heard about them in the beginning, but then either they are no more there, they are no more making films, they have just disappeared, or they have got sunk into the run-of-the-mill kind of films for a survival. I don't know, because we don't meet them, we don't hear about them. And I remember him very fondly because I knew him very, very closely. And only towards the end of his life, we are not meeting very frequently. All the same, I have very good memories of the person.
Actually, for me, he was like my friend. When I met him, and I felt he's a friend, and then director. So इतना warmth मुझे feel हुआ था उनके साथ कि मुझे लगा ही नहीं कि director का ये technique भी है कि उनका ये कि I think deliberate एक वो था उनका behavior मेरे साथ कि इसको feel करा दूं कि मैं इसका friend हूँ. तो मुझे बहुत सारी क्योंकि when I read about him कि he got maximum number of national award and I was so scared. Oh my God, he's so और बहुत उनके बारे में बहुत कुछ सुन रखा था मैंने, तो थोड़ा सा मैं नर्वस फील कर रहा था कि इतने काबिल डायरेक्टर के साथ काम करके पता नहीं मैं कर पाऊंगा या नहीं कर पाऊंगा, अपने दिमाग को पाऊंगा या नहीं. बट उनका जो बिहेवियर था, एक फ्रेंडली बिहेवियर जो था, उससे काफी चीजें सॉल्व होती चली गई. एंड इवन सीन्स में भी कभी कभी कुछ सीन्स मेरी समझ में नहीं आते थे कि वो रियलिज्म होते होते ना सुरियलिज्म की तरफ जाने लगता था. वो लग रहा है कि ये something is going on, है तो रियलिस्टिकली बट somewhere it's going कुछ और होता जा रहा है ये सीन. तो आई रियलाइज कि जब मैंने नेशनल स्कूल ऑफ ड्रामा में पढ़ते हुए मैंने देखा था कि एक रियलिज्म होता है, फिर सुरियलिज्म होता है, उसकी एक प्रोसेस होती है. थिएटर में देखा, बट वो फिल्म्स में फर्स्ट टाइम मैंने अपने साथ होते हुए देखा. तो आई वाज सो वंडर के माय गॉड, ये पॉसिबल हो सकती हैं चीजें. जैसे पेंटिंग में भी होता है, सुरियलिज्म पेंटिंग होती है, उसी तरीके से हम फिल्म में एक्टर के साथ उसको एग्जीक्यूट करते हुए. तो इट वाज वंडरफुल एक्सपीरियंस वर्किंग विद हिम. एंड लाइक everyone says कि his direction had an element of lyricism of poetry in films. क्योंकि वो एक कवि भी थे, पोएट भी थे, तो वो झलक आती थी उनकी फिल्म्स में.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to hear a few words from Mahesh ji. I remember Andhi Gali, I was very small then, but please, if you can kindly tell us about your experience.
I was making a film called Saranch in 1984. I was struggling to make my ends meet, and suddenly I was approached by an individual, Arun Gaul, and I think he was an associate of the father. And he said he wanted to meet you. And I said, for what? And he said, he wants you to act in the film. I said, I'm no actor. I'm not an actor at all. I find it so difficult to get myself photographed. So he said, just meet him. And I met him. And what hit me first about him was his silence. There was an overpowering silence that was there in him. And I said, Buddhadeb, I'm not an actor. And I'm making a film for Rajeshwaris, and I'm running between pillar and post. And I said, I'm not an actor. He said, that's not your problem. It's my problem. Just think you're a prop. And I want a prop. I want a person like this. And we were completely different. I was flamboyant. I was loud, shrill in my articulation of everything. And he was completely opposite. somehow he managed to draw me to do that film called Andheri with, and there was Kulbhushan ji, Kulbhushan Kharbanda, my friend, and Deepthi Naval in it. And I remember the first day of shooting was in Prithvi Cafe, and he was very intelligent to make me enter in a long shot because he knew that I would be petrified to the actor who comes and directs people and gives instructions to actors. When he is put in front of the camera, he is another animal altogether. So I remember he made me enter in a long shot and I just saw the movie to refresh my memory on YouTube. And in the foreground, there are the characters sitting down and the juniors sitting down there. And he made me enter in a long shot. And the second shot, which comes in a mid shot, you see me enter, and you see this body language of mine is I'm so petrified of being in front of the camera. And I remember him distinctly telling me, look, if you feel uncomfortable, just lean against the wall. And because I discovered then that the problem is when you're not supposed to have lines and you're supposed to just stand there and listen to people. How difficult it is to just sit down, just stand there and listen to somebody. But he made me very comfortable. And for me, going to his shooting was a delightful experience because nothing is more, as directors would know, is that to go to somebody else's set and discover that all the problems is of the other director and you're just there as a spectator sitting down there and watching what's going on.
I will share later on what you had told me privately on the phone. I remember, and I will share that one line. It's about a song, and moving along, I would like to ask Rasulji and Nawaz bhai, please feel free to join anytime because it's the same film you have worked on, Anwar. And it happened to me, it's one of mine and my sister's favorite and one of my Baba's favorite as well. The character, the sound, the entire look of the story, the quirk, everything. And so I'll come straight to a specific question with you. I'm sure you would like to talk about him generally a lot, but specifically, what did you think of his relation to sound and cinema while working on Anwar?
In 2012, I met him at the Goa IFI. There was a film that I produced was a part of Indian Panorama, and the film called ID. It was a collaborative effort of 5 of us from Film Institute. And the moment he saw me, he came running to me and he held my hand and he said, "You made such a lovely movie." And he kept on talking about it, and he kept on holding my hand. Probably we stood there for more than an hour, and he held his hand like that to me, held so firmly close to me. I felt the presence of a father in him at that moment. Then on, we kept kept in touch, and of course this sniffer Anwar Ki Ajab Kissa came up. By the time he had already shot the movie, and he said, "I would like you to work on this movie." And I saw the entire footage, and I realized that when in film school, you watch films of the masters, and especially Tarkovsky is one person who influenced you in terms of the way sound imageries are used in movies. And you always wondered, will you ever get a movie that you can work like the way Tarkovsky worked, or worked on the sound like that? And when Dada showed me Sniffer, I thought, this is that film. It is a film that fallen upon me, and it is my responsibility to do justice to every frame. So the film was not live sound, which is basically what I would have liked to do. So we got Nawaz got into the studio. We made him move around, and made him do all that we generally don't make people do in a dubbing room, so to make it more alive and to be part of the frame, within the frame. And then I wanted to go and experience every spaces that he shot the movie. I made a 10-day program, and I went to Calcutta, and he took me everywhere, and everywhere I went I was recording. And Dada would hang around with me. He doesn't smoke a cigarette like this. He'll keep a cigarette here, and he smoke like that, and he would move around with me. And third day or fourth day, he walked at me and said, I have worked with many sound people, but I have never worked with someone like you. And I felt that Dada he doesn't have to hang around with me, because I'm roaming around on the streets of Calcutta and other places. I said, Dada, you can go back. I don't need you with me. I just need the places. If some assistant can take me, that's good enough. He said, no. I like to watch you when you are recording. And he said, when you are recording, I feel you are meditating. So when you ask me what was my relationship with him vis-a-vis working, creating a sound imagery for the movie, and the man, and the father, and the lover, and the poet, and a filmmaker, everything put together, I can say it was very meditative. A fortnight ago, I messaged him and I asked him about well-beings. I would like to summon up this, just reading the last message that he sent me. Dear Resul, how are you? I am more or less okay. I can't really say that I am fine. A filmmaker constantly thinks about his cinema, all that he wants to make till his last breath. So I too plan to start my next film after the situation gets a little better. I will need you with me again. How is the family? We too remember you very often. Convey my wishes to your family. Hope to see you soon. Warmly, Dada. A fortnight later, he's gone. But until that moment, I think he was very sharp. He was so warm. He was like someone I never had in my life. So to me, he's not just another filmmaker. He's everything to me, and I miss him very, very dearly.
So much.
Thank you.
Jahnu ji, please tell us something about Baba. Tell us about your first meeting, about his work, his influence of your work on him and his work on you. He spoke a lot of you as well to us.
Buddha, actually, I had been very close to him. And I think for the first time I met him during one of the IFEs in Delhi. And usually I used to be always a very subdued person, and sometimes timid also. And I remember that he came to me and he started asking me something. Aren't you so-and-so? I said, yes. Do you know me? I said, of course I know you. In fact, I know you very well. I had not seen your film. By the time he had made a couple of films, including Durata. So I had not seen these films till then, but I knew about him. So when I said that, then we had he invited me to a coffee shop. So we went, had a chat. Most of the time I kept quiet. He started, because I liked listening to him. And since then, We had been very good friends. And I like listening to him very much. What I always used to feel very energetic about, it's a passion, kind of passion he carries all the time. Oh, this is something, it's vibrations going on all the time.
To all of you, if I could ask you about an anecdote regarding Baba, with Baba in your life, what comes to your mind?
I remember an amazing thing, amazing. When I know, the quality of a man, like you said, it is the kindness in him.
Kindness.
And the fact that, at an age, at a point of time in your life, you don't see the difference between an animal and humans. For him, it is both are living things. So we had a dog in the film, Nawaz's friend, and Nawaz leave the town, and the dog follows him, and the dog
Yes.
and the dog follows him.
Lalu.
And I wanted to record the sounds of the dog. So I said, we were recording some Bengali voices in a studio. I said, can we get the dog in the studio? And we brought the dog in there because I wanted to record all the sniff sound and everything. And it is amazing, you won't believe it. Dada came into the ADR room, and unko samjha raha hai. He called the name. I don't remember what the name he called. Whatever it is, he would call doggy. Tumko yaad, and he speaks in his sweetest Bengali. My bad Bengali. तुमको मालूम है ना नवाज साहब ऐसा गया था, तुमने पीछे गया तो ऐसा जाओ अभी. And he was like a baby, actually making the dog understand what he has done. And the dog would look at him, and he look at him, and he would actually move around exactly what he has done.
That's how he directed me.
I was like, what is this man?
One memory I must tell you, because I'm a good listener. So that's why I had these kind of memories. Once happened, what happened in Fukuoka, he was in Fukuoka, both of us, we were there. There we were supposed to be back. The previous night, he said, Jahnu, I'll come to your room. So he came. We had few drinks. Then he kept on talking about something else. Then it came to poetry. So then I said that, of course, I know you're a very good poet. I have not heard you in poetry of yours. So then he asked me, are you a poet? I said, no, I'm not a poet, but I like listening to poetry. Then what he said is very good. Then at least you can listen. So now be ready. So he kept reciting one after the other, some poetry of his. The way he was reciting, so much of excitement. And I was not listening to the poetry. I was looking at him, this kind of body language. He was expressing the poetry the way. So I kept thinking, I wish I had a camera to keep photographing him. The way he was. Sometimes he used to lie down, or sometimes he would get up, and sometimes he used to stand up and make the drink, and the poetry goes on. So it was so beautiful memory. Actually, I'll never forget that in my life.
मैं एक चीज शेयर करना चाहता हूँ. 96 I did a play. I acted in the play, and the theater director was Valentine Deplokov from Moscow. First time I realized that surrealism क्या होता. तो एक scene था, I want to share this scene, कि एक डेथ होती है, स्टूल पे बैठी एक वाइफ जिसका नाम सारा है. इवानोव प्ले था, और उसने सीन डिजाइन किया था जो मेरे डायरेक्टर थे उन्होंने सीन किया, तो जस्ट उसको बीमारी होती है और वहीं से उसकी स्टूल पे बैठी है और ऐसे गिरती है, तो जो मेन कैरेक्टर था उसने उसके सर को अपने हाथ में ले लिया और वो बड़ा सर यहाँ पे इस टाइम पे इस कॉर्नर में है सर, तो वो सारा बोल रहा है सारा यू कांट लीव मी, सारा तुम मर नहीं सकती, सारा तुम मर नहीं सकती, और सर वहीं पे है और वो इस तरह कहता है सर सारा तुम नहीं जा सकती, इमोशनली कहता है सारा तुम यू कांट लीव, तो हाथ पूरा वहीं जा रहा है और सर वहीं पे है। तो आज जब मैं बैठा था सामने बैठा था मुझे लगा कि उसका सर खींच के इतना लंबा हो गया। तो सेम दादा की जो परफॉर्मेंस थी जब मैं शुरू करता था कि शुरुआत तो बहुत रियलिस्टिकली हो रही है बट धीरे धीरे ये समवेयर these scenes are going somewhere else actually. तो when I realized that oh my god, वो जब मैंने सीन किए थे इससे वो सब एक्सटेंट यही वो सीन थे जिसको हम पिक्चराइज कर रहे हैं। इस तरह के बहुत बार मुझे रियलाइज हुआ उस बाबा के साथ करते हुए काम करते हुए कि बहुत सारे सीन वो इतना इजीली रियलिस्टिकली शुरू करते थे और एब्सर्डिटी में और रियलिज्म में पहुंच जाते थे। ये मेरे दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम, ये मेरे साथ पहला एक्सपीरियंस था मेरी लाइफ का कि फिल्म्स में एब्सर्डिटी जो हार्डकोर रियलिटी होती है और surrealism, ये फर्स्ट टाइम उनके साथ मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया।
So in the large spectrum of global cinema, where do you think our father, Mr. Buddhadeb Dasgupta, where does he fit in?
Buddhadev has been a constant presence in the international festivals at the national awards. You know, he is one of those, other than Ray and Sen, who has made who has got the maximum number of national awards. You know, there he has been credited with so much of honors even outside India, and Buddhadev has done immense contribution to our Indian cinema and Indian culture.
For Buddha, actually, I always want to remember him. I always want to remember him, and I'll go back to the same choice of words. The Buddha is a vibration of Indian cinema. That simply I would like to remember. He's the vibration of Indian cinema. So that's all I would say. That it covers many things. As I said, that you cannot end it. It can go on and on.
Individually, I feel all of us who are here are undoubtedly touched by his warmth and by his generosity. And I think a filmmaker, if he is not generous, he's not a filmmaker. And his attitude towards the dog, whom he instructed, and towards me was exactly the same. And I think that's what the gaze of a filmmaker is. He looks at everybody with one eye. And I think that's what made that man, your father, so unique and so memorable for me.
When you talk about generosity and, when he was going through the beginning part of his dialysis process, I went to Kolkata, and I wanted to meet him and I wanted to stay with him. So I went to this house, very, very beautiful house with lots of books. When I see Adoorji's house, behind his library behind him, this huge library, like that, a library. And he asked me, where do you want to sleep? I said, I want to sleep in the room where there are books. So he said, oh, that's my bed, you can sleep there. So I won't give it to anybody, but you take it, I'll give you. And he went and opened the fridge, and there was a bottle of beer. And he poured beer for us. There were two of us. And I was just looking at it, and he looked at me. I don't know whether to accept it or not to accept it. And I didn't want to be rude, so I looked at him. And he said, oh, you want me to drink as well, right? I said, no, Dada, if you're not feeling good, you shouldn't. He said, the doctors asked me not to drink, but today you came and I have to drink with you. And he poured half a glass of beer. Look, a man going through dialysis. That's what generosity meant to me. This is being beyond the regular realm of being human. To me, that is Dada.
I think you summed it up so brilliantly, because as I said, that Zen saying that I go to the master not to hear him talk, but to see him tie his shoelaces. I think this is what is the aftertaste of this phenomena, this enigma these two young girls are celebrating here. And I think they attempt to sum up his life and to put him into the textbook, which generations tomorrow may not even read, is a futile exercise. I think the warmth that we are sharing about him today itself speaks volumes about the kind of man he was. And that's what his legacy is. Kindness. The towering kindness is the fragrance that he has left behind. And as she said, Alokananda, that he's a song that you'll hear even after the song is over. And those are the most memorable songs.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. And Didi, you want to say something?
No, I think sometimes silence is overwhelming. I think in this case, I just want to thank you all. And I don't have anything else to say. It was wonderful hearing you all and kind of seeing our dad through your eyes and your perspective. It was emotional, overwhelming, and we are carrying with us a lot of good memories and good anecdotes that you all shared. And I'm sure there'll be lots more talk about this in the future. Thank you all
Thank you.
Yeah.
We will like to end with a few words of Baba's poem, one of his favorite poem by Deepti Navalji. She would like to recite one of his poems, and that's how I think we will end this poetic journey. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
As a tribute to Buddhadeb, I would like to recite his poem, one of my personal favorites, translated by John Hood from his book Love and Other Forms of Death. The story of a poet. At the end of the day, the poet emerges from the shadow of his nutshell and rolls his nut-like body to the window. The children toddle off to bed, and an unknown woman falls asleep, the many words left still unsaid, remaining on her parted lips. In the breeze from the window, eyes open slowly from a dream of dead leaves to the stilled white branches of 1,000 new trees. In the wondrous glow of the sky, the stars serenely look at each other, and after a burst of rain, come down and lie close together on the water, and the peanut poet at last knows the meaning of distance. A new day breaks. A man being chased flares up and turns to chase his pursuers, his face perspiring heavily. He stops suddenly beside the poet's window, and a swollen peanut leaps straight up into his mouth.